So, what if you could actually have a say in the future of AI? Not just use it, but help build it. That's pretty much the huge idea behind this thing called the AICoach DAO. And today, we're going to dig into their blueprint, their ambitious plan to create this whole new kind of community where people and AI, well, they learn and grow together. So, yeah, let's jump right in. All right, so let's start with the big picture. The core idea here, and this is really important, it's not about AI coming in and taking over. No. It's about building a team, a genuine partnership. Imagine taking our human know-how, our creativity, and pairing it with the sheer processing power of AI. When you put those two together, they can build something that's way more powerful than either one could ever be on its own. And this right here, this is the mission statement, boiled down to its simplest form. Train the community to train AI. Think about that for a second. We're not talking about a small group of genius developers locked away in some lab. The idea is to tap into the collective intelligence of an entire community, to teach, to guide, to shape the AI. I mean, that's a completely different way of looking at how we build this stuff, right? And that leads us to this really powerful question, one that kind of frames this entire project. What if every single time you learned something, or you shared an idea, you weren't just growing yourself, but you were also directly contributing to building the future of intelligence? You'd be helping to create a smarter, better AI. Just hold on to that thought as we get into the nuts and bolts of how this whole thing is actually supposed to work. Okay, so you're probably wondering, if I were to jump into this world, what does it even look like? Well, the whole thing is built on three main layers that are all interconnected. It's easiest to think of it like a car. You've got the AI layer. That's the engine, right? It's all the tech, the data, the actual models. Then you have the community layer. That's the fuel. Without the people contributing their knowledge and skills, the engine just sits there. And finally, you have the governance layer. That's the steering wheel. This is what lets the community, the drivers, decide which direction the car is going. And all three of these parts are constantly working together, feeding back into each other. All right, so that's the 30,000-foot view. But let's bring it down to earth. What does this actually mean for you? How does a person get started and, climb the ladder in a system like this? And this is super important because it's not just some kind of chaotic mass where everyone's running around. No, it's actually designed to have a really clear path forward. So it doesn't matter if you're a total beginner or an expert, there's a place for you to plug in and a way for you to grow. So here's a look at that ladder, see? Everybody starts out at level 1 as an explorer. You're just, exploring. You're learning the ropes. But the cool part is how you move up. It's all based on what you do. If you create content, you can become a builder. If you help other people out, you can become a trainer. And as you keep climbing, you can see your role totally shifts. You go from doing the hands-on work to actually leading and guiding others, all the way up to architect, where you're helping steer the entire project. It's meant to be a system where your contributions are what really matter. You can kind of break the whole journey down into two big phases. When you're starting out, you're in what they call the contributor DAO. Your main job is just that, contributing. You're making content, labeling data, that kind of thing. But as you level up and gain trust, you move into the core DAO, and that's where your focus shifts to leadership. You're part of the group making the big strategic calls and helping guide the entire community. So you see, going from explorer to architect, it's not just about getting a fancy new title for your profile. Every single step up that ladder means you've earned more trust and you have a bigger impact on the whole ecosystem. It's a system that's literally built to reward people who show up and do good work consistently. Okay, we've talked about the individual journey, but where is all of this going? What's the grand plan? Let's zoom out again and take a look at the 5-year roadmap for the whole community. And you can see the plan is really thought out. It's not a mad dash. In 2025, it's all about getting the community formed. Then in 26, they start weaving in the AI and growing the governance. A really huge milestone is putting the voting on-chain. Now, what that means is that all decisions get recorded on the blockchain, publicly, permanently. It's how you take power away from a small central team and give it to everyone. And from there, it's about scaling up until the final goal, to be totally independent and self-sustaining by 2030. And look, these aren't just fluffy goals. The roadmap has real, hard numbers attached. For instance, right at the start, they're aiming for 5,000 active users and getting 100,000 AI training tasks done. When you see concrete targets like that, you know they're serious about actually building momentum and not just talking about it. And to make this all happen, as it grows, the project really dives into Web3 tech to make sure it's truly decentralized.
We already mentioned on-chain voting, making everything transparent, but there's also stuff like staking, where you can lock up your tokens to show you're serious about participating in decisions. And they'll use NFT badges to prove your rank and your accomplishments, like a digital resume that nobody can fake. These are the actual tools you use to move power from a company to a community. So, after 5 years of all this work, after all those individual contributions add up, what's the end game? What does this whole thing eventually become?
The final vision is, well, it's pretty ambitious. They call it the AI Knowledge Republic. And we're not just talking about another tech project here. The idea is to create a fully self-governing digital nation, one that can fund its own research, make its own rules, all of it decided by the members. I mean, think about how different that is from the world we live in now, where a handful of giant companies basically control the entire future of AI.
And really, that brings us right back to the beginning. This huge, grand vision of an AI knowledge republic, it doesn't get built by some corporation from the top down. It gets built from the ground up, piece by every single person who decides to join in. Every little contribution, no matter how small it seems, is another brick in that foundation. So there you have it. The blueprint's on the table, the path forward is laid out, and the first bricks are in place. The only question left is the one they're asking everyone who sees this. What will you build?